Hey, what's going on, everybody? Samuel Akem here, and I'm back with another one. I appreciate you guys for tapping into yet another AKEM'S analysis. I got a great video for you guys today. First things first, we're going to put this at the end of the video today, but we are going to be chatting with CHANDLER ARBIZZANI, the general manager of the Montana State football team. There's a lot of stuff going on with NIL, the transfer portal, recruiting, all that good stuff. So I wanted to get it straight from a source. From one of the Big Sky schools and chat with the general manager. I'll try to get more general managers on here, see what some of their jobs look like. But I just wanted to see what the job looks like for an FCS general manager. I feel like the field is kind of shifting at the P4 level to where that general manager and even some schools, they have equal or more power, thinking of Andrew Luck, than the head coach. So I wanted to see what that looks like at the FCS level. Obviously, it's not going to be the same as the P4 level, but I think you can still get a lot of information about what's going on, obviously, at Montana State, but with the general manager role at the FCS level as well. In other news, we'll be looking at some of the Sam HERDER'S top 15 returning FCS quarterbacks. We're not going to be looking at all of them. I'm going to give some thoughts about what I saw on his list and some of my thoughts about that list. I want to talk about looking at some of the previous successful quarterbacks in the Big Sky Conference and see, I'm seeing a trend in successful quarterbacks in the Big Sky Conference, so I'll give my thoughts about that. There's an interesting stat about UC Davis football in the transfer portal tweeted by Skyline Sports this week, so I'm going to give some thoughts about that. And then we got some other topics towards the back end of the video, but make sure you guys hit the like, make sure you guys hit the subscribe, make sure you guys leave me a comment down below. I appreciate you guys for tapping in, supporting the channel, showing love. Make sure you guys share it with a friend, but more than anything, hit the subscribe button if you're watching right now, and we will get straight into it. Okay, first things first, we are looking back on previous Big Sky quarterbacks and what made them successful. So this kind of goes in hand with my next topic, talking about Sam HERDER'S top 15 quarterbacks in the FCS returning for the 2025 season. But I think there's been some struggle for some of the schools in the Big Sky Conference to find a successful quarterback. And if you know anything about football, having a successful quarterback is going to be the #1 key to your team being successful in college football. Winning a national championship, I mean, you can't do anything unless you have a really good quarterback. I don't necessarily think you need a game changer at quarterback, but you need somebody who's serviceable, who works in the system, who the coach trusts, all that stuff. But I think there's some other key things that contribute to successful quarterbacks. So the 3 quarterbacks we're looking at today: Eric Barrier, Giovanni McCoy, and Tommy Millett. I know there's a ton of more successful quarterbacks in the Big Sky Conference. I wanted to keep it more recent and talk about some of the things that I noticed from these guys as to why they were successful. Now, first things first, I have it listed on here, but I think it goes without saying, when you have a successful quarterback, they are talented. Tommy Millett, extremely talented. Giovanni McCoy, extremely talented. Eric Barrier, I mean, one of the most talented quarterbacks we've seen in the Big Sky Conference in recent history. I'd say the last 10 to 15 years, he's probably one of the best, if not the best quarterback to come out of the Big Sky. You got Vernon Adams on there as well, so I don't want to look past that. But really, really successful quarterback. So what do all of these guys have in common as to why something that led to their success? Obviously, their talent is at the top of that list. That is #1. You're not going to be successful without talent. You're not going to be playing in a Division I institution without talent. So let's look at this. Eric Barrier, I believe, was the Jerry Rice Award winner. Somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but I believe Eric Barrier was the Jerry Rice Award winner. Giovanni McCoy was also the Jerry Rice Award winner. The only quarterback on here who I don't think won that award was Tommy Millett, and I think the reason Tommy Millett didn't win that is because, if I'm not mistaken, they burned his red shirt in 2021. Played in 2022, was a little injured. Played in 2023, was a little injured. Played in 2024, had his best statistical season. He won the Walter Payton. So I think all of these quarterbacks were good enough to have won the Jerry Rice had they played. But that leads to my point that I'm trying to make. All of these quarterbacks on this list started as freshmen. Not even started, but played. They all started. They all started as freshmen. They all were extremely successful as freshmen, and they all were given the ability and given the space to mess up as freshmen. I just exited out of something that I needed, so I'm going to look it back up. But I want to look at the freshman stats. So Eric Barrier, let's look at his freshman year statistics at Eastern Washington. So he redshirted in 2017. His first season was 2018. They went to the national championship that year, lost to North Dakota State. But to take a team to the national championship as a redshirt freshman is amazing. 61% completion percentage, 190 completions on 311 attempts with a 61% completion percentage, 2,400 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 18 sacks. He took 18 sacks. He had a rating of 146.9. I don't really understand ratings, so I'm going to say it, but I don't really get it. But 24 touchdowns on 9 interceptions. Let's look at Gevani McCoy, and let's look at his freshman year stats. Gevani McCoy in 2021, 15, so I think he redshirted in 2021. So 2022 was his redshirt freshman year. 68% completion percentage, 2,700 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So what did Eric have? 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. It's a little inverted on Gevani McCoy's for some reason. Gevani had 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 171 quarterback rating. And then you go to Tommy Mellott, his first season as the full starter. I have 2021 on here, but I'm not going to talk about 2021. In 2022, when he was the full starter, 61% completion percentage, 1,600 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 9 sacks. Now, obviously, if you're looking at Tommy Mellott's stats and you're looking at the passing numbers, they are not going to be anywhere comparable to Gevani McCoy or Eric Barrier. The reason for that is because of the system they played in. But all of these quarterbacks played young, were given the space to mess up young, and were trusted by their quarterbacks. So, one thing, extremely talented. That's the number one thing that all of these quarterbacks have in common. Number 2, a system built around what they do well. Now, obviously, Eastern Washington I don't know if they necessarily built the system around Eric Barrier. That was simply a system that had been what it was. They brought a quarterback in who fit that system. But you get what I'm trying to say. The system and the quarterback go hand in hand. You look at Eric Barrier, that passing offense, Eric Barrier could run, but Eric Barrier was not looking to run. Eric Barrier was looking to affect the game with his arm down the field. Now, if he needed to run, he could do that. He was going to scramble around, make time for the play, but Eric Barrier was always looking down the field to find receivers down the field. But the system was built around what he does well. Same with Gevani McCoy. That Jason X system was built around what Gevani McCoy does well, but also it was catered to so that, they give him the space with the Jason X system. They're going to run the clock down. They're not going to snap it until there's under 5 seconds to go on the play clock. I think that's something that lended itself to helping Gevani McCoy out. You're choking teams out in terms of the clock. You're not giving them a ton of opportunity on offense. They have to make the most of their drive. So you're helping your quarterback out with the way you run your system. But I think that system was built around him as well. And then if you're talking about Tommy Mellott, talking about a system being built around what somebody does well, I mean, there's never been a better example of that. Damn near a triple option type scheme, a lot of RPOs, a lot of run game, a lot of read option, a lot of zone read option. I mean, everything that Tommy does well, that system was built around what he does well. Weapons for them. Tommy Mellott always had a stable of running backs behind him. He had good serviceable receivers to throw the ball to when he needed an outlet, but more than anything, the talent around them fit the billing. Same with Gevani McCoy, Hayden Hatton, Jordan Dwyer, a young Jordan Dwyer, Anthony Woods, to name a few of the weapons that he had during his time at Idaho. I mean, people to throw to that are going to be open. Talent around them. I mean, you can have a good quarterback who can throw the ball extremely successful, but if you have 0 weapons around them, it's null and void. And then Eric Barrier. These are only a few that I played against: Talolo Limu Jones, Andrew Boston, Efton Chisholm, a young Efton Chisholm. The list goes on for Eric Barrier, but all of these quarterbacks who have been successful in the Big Sky have had talent around them that they could throw to and people that can make their jobs easier. I have it on here as well. All of these guys started young, maybe not as freshmen, but two out of the 3 started as freshmen. The next one started as a sophomore because they had a senior transfer portal quarterback in 2021. But all these guys got playing time young. And then the last point that I had on here was good coaching. All of them, and not even just good coaching, a coach that trusts them. So I have it in quotes that, in parentheses, a coach that trusts them. But good coaching is a big piece of it as well. But having a coach that trusts you, because if you're going to play a freshman quarterback, you need to understand they are going to mess up. They are not going to be perfect. It is not going to be pretty. But I think when you want to have a successful quarterback in the FCS, when you want to have a successful quarterback in the Big Sky, you have to give them the space to mess up. You have to give them the space to realize that, hey, I can go out here and miss a 3rd down throw and I'm still going to be out here in the next drive. Hey, I can go out here and I can throw a pick 6 and I'm still going to be out here in the next drive. I think when you play a young quarterback, when you want a quarterback to be successful, you allow them the space to mess up. You allow them the space to not be perfect. You allow them the space to maybe be a little less than stellar on a day. but you believe in them and you trust in them, and I think that's what it takes with to have a successful quarterback at the Big Sky. I mean, you even look at Clifton McDowell with Montana in 2023. The system was built around what he did well. They weren't going to try to throw the ball around the yard a ton. They still had a bunch of weapons that they had to get the ball to, but the run game, the power run, that is what the system was built around. The offensive line, Clifton McDowell was a running quarterback. He could use his legs effectively, so let's build the system around that. That is what I'm talking about. And, you know, I think there's a perfect blueprint. Miles Hastings is another example. A passing offense, you have a passing running back. I mean, you have a receiving running back who can catch the ball out of the backfield, but Miles Hastings is a pocket passer who can throw the ball all over the place. You put weapons around him. You put a good offensive line around him. You also have a really good running game and good running back that helps you out with a lot of things. But, I mean, it's easier said than done. And obviously us talking about it, it sounds all good. But now these coaches have to go on the road and recruit, find these quarterbacks. Are these quarterbacks who are looking to even play at the FCS? And I guess that is the number one thing you have to do to get a guy like this, or to build a system around a good quarterback, is what do you want to be? What do you want your team to look like? What do you want that to look like? What is that going to look like? First, you have to decide that. Then you decide, okay, who are we going to go search after to put into this system that we're developing out here? But, you know, I think, you know, you have a blueprint here. Talented, first, you got to find a talented quarterback. Next, you need to build a system around them. What do they do well? Figure out what they do well. Figure out what they don't do well. Cater the system towards that. Weapons for them to throw to. Back to recruiting. We got to go out on the recruiting trail. We got to get in the transfer portal. We got to find weapons that fit our quarterback and our system. Next, started young. I think this is a big thing to have a successful quarterback, even at the FCS. And this has been talked about a lot. This is a belabored point. I think at the FCS, a quarterback who's going to be good, who's going to win a national championship, needs to start young. They need to start getting developed young. But it's so crazy that I go back to a Coach Houck point with this. You get better at playing football. You get better at football by playing football. So as a young quarterback, if you're eventually going to be a Walter Payton Award winner as a junior or a senior, maybe even a sophomore, you need to start young. And if you want to win a national championship as a quarterback at the FCS level, you need to start young. The blueprint is already there. So many quarterbacks who have won national championships in recent years started at their school and played at their school for multiple years and were developed in that system for multiple years before getting to the limelight. I think the blue, and obviously a coach that trusts you. I think that's one of the biggest things and can't go understated. You need a coach that trusts you. You need a coach that is willing to give you the space to mess up. You guys let me know if I'm leaving any points out, if there's something I forgot about to shape a successful quarterback at the FCS level. You guys let me know down below, and I will move on. Okay, Sam Herder posted this past week his top 15 returning FCS quarterbacks from going into the 2025 season. I'm not going to talk a lot about the list itself. I want you guys to go read the article itself. Sam Herder does a great job covering the FCS. The top 5 quarterbacks, man, it's interesting to see the top 5 quarterbacks because it's like, you know, you see some of the names at the top of the list, and some of those guys, like I'll give you a spoiler. The number 1 quarterback was the Monmouth quarterback. I can't even remember his name. I actually have the article pulled up right now. I'll tell you what the name was of that. Oh, it's right here. The Monmouth quarterback, Derek Robertson. I had no idea about Derek Robertson. So go look at that article. Go look at Sam Herder's list. But what I was bringing up about that point about the article was about that quarterback is that's the FCS now. You're not having a bunch of guys who, now obviously Victor Gabales, Aiden Bauman are some quarterbacks who are on there. Sam Vidlek are some quarterbacks who are on there. So obviously there's guys who are carrying over from year to year. But it just seems like every year it's like, let me bring up my point that I'm trying to make about the Big Sky. This is per Skyline Sports. This is from Skyline Sports. They posted this on Twitter. NAU's Ty Pennington at number 7 is the only Big Sky quarterback listed. Now, this is a conference who sent 5 teams to the FCS playoffs last year. Idaho, Montana, Montana State, NAU, and UC Davis. 5 teams to the FCS playoffs last year, and they have 1 returning quarterback who's in the top 15 per Sam Herder, returning for 2025. Which says a ton about overturn in the league from 24 to 25. No Tommy Mellott in the NFL. No Miles Hastings. He did a pro day. I don't know where he's at. No Jack Lane. Jack Lane was at Idaho. Will Kali Ayat win the job for Grizz football? Only Big Sky playoff team with returner is Pennington NAU. That is crazy, man. Like, and this is just an example of what the transfer portal and NIL has done to the FCS level. When you put out a list like this, you just get to see what it has done. the effects that it has had on FCS football. You know, there are no top returning quarterbacks in the subdivision per Sam Herder, who's the number one analyst, the number one journalist, the number one writer. I mean, Sam Herder does an amazing job covering FCS football. Per who he thinks are the top quarterbacks in the FCS, only one of them is in the Big Sky Conference. And I mean, if you even, I think I went through it a couple of weeks ago when I was going through some of the projected, or that was just Montana. But just if you look around the league, there are quarterbacks are gone from all over the league. The Richie Munoz from Weber State left. Kakoa Visperis left. I mean, those are the two quarterbacks outside of Ty Pennington that you were going to think of coming into this year that were going to be the guys, and they're gone. You know, they're gone. So I think it's very interesting. I think that's a really good point from Skyline Sports. Another thing that I wanted to note from that list: Sam Vidlak, the former Montana quarterback, was at number 3 on that list. And my question is, did Montana mess up by letting him leave? Now, this is Sam Vidlak, who was the Southland. He was all Southland second team. He was also the Southland Conference Newcomer of the Year. And mind you, Sam Vidlak was in Montana in 2023. I believe he was the day one starter. They were splitting time, him and Clifton, but I believe Sam Vidlak was the day one starter. He seemed to have some jitters. He didn't really seem to be, fully in tune with what was going on. He ended up being benched for Clifton McDowell, but obviously Clifton McDowell was playing good football. He ended up leaving, betting on himself, going in the transfer portal, going to Stephen F. Austin, and he balled out. He absolutely balled out. I asked myself, did Montana mess up by letting Sam Vidlak leave Missoula? I kind of think they did, but also when you look at the situation that he was looking at in front of him, Clifton McDowell had 2 or 3 years left to play. I think Clifton McDowell at the time was a junior. This past season in 2024 was supposed to be his senior year. I think he's looking to try to get another year in 2025. But Clifton McDowell was expected to return. I don't think a lot of people expected him to enter the portal. He ended up entering the portal. So that was unforeseen. But then also you have Ayat, who was there as well, who's like he was there in 2023. He was a true freshman in 2023. Young guy. A lot of hype around him, a lot of people betting on him to be good. And obviously his dad played at the Grizz, so he's got that. He's a legacy player. I think those two factors factored into it is something that led Sam Vidlak to leave Montana. But I mean, if you just think about Sam Vidlak still being in the Big Sky, I don't know. I mean, just think about it. Montana could have definitely used Sam Vidlak last year. After Clifton leaving, after Keali Ayat trying to get things down, but not 100% having all his bearings about him, needing a little bit more time to start to get the system down. When you look at what Sam Vidlak did at Stephen F. Now, also, this brings up the question. Would Sam Vidlak have done what he did at Stephen F. Austin at Montana? I don't think you can 100% say that. Not that Stephen F. Austin was a playoff team or anything. Montana was a playoff team, and I think Montana had better. I would say Montana had better talent than Stephen F. Austin. I don't think it's easy to say that they would have been a playoff team. That with Sam Vidlak in there, they do the same thing. But I think he was the Southland Newcomer of the Year, second team all conference. Like, this dude left and immediately got to it. I think if you're Montana, you're definitely looking back at that and saying, like, could we have done more to keep him in the building? Those are the 2 points I wanted to make about this list, about Sam Herder's list. I want you guys to go read it. I don't want to talk too much about it. I think it's staggering that the Big Sky only has one quarterback on that list. But I think also it's not that staggering, because you think about the conference. It's like, there's no names that come to your head except for Ty Pennington. There is no names that come to your head when you think of top quarterbacks in the Big Sky. But yeah, you guys let me know what you guys think about the top quarterbacks returning in the Big Sky Conference or in the FCS. You guys let me know what you guys think about Sam Vidlak. Do you guys think Montana should have held on to Sam Vidlak? Or do you guys think, based on the kind of the points I brought up, at the time it seemed like he was making the right decision, but obviously hindsight is 2020. You guys let me know down below, and I will move on. Okay, I got a quick topic I want to talk about here real quick. FCS revenue sharing idea. I can't remember who posted this online. I think it might have been Zach McKinnell. It might have been Zach McKinnell might have commented on this. But an FCS revenue sharing idea. Your team beats an FBS opponent, and half of the payout gets split between players. I think this is an amazing idea. Why not? Like Montana State last year. I can't remember what their buyout was. I think it was $300,000 or $400,000, something like that, $375,000. after Montana State beat New Mexico, they split that 375 evenly among all the players. Let's do the math on that. Say there's 100 players on the roster. I think there's a little more than 100. Now we're going down to 85. Well, actually, I don't know. There's 100 players on the roster. Let's divide that by I'm doing my math wrong. Let's say the payout was 375. Divide that by 100 players. $3,000 for each player? Come on, man. That's the only way you can do it. If they win, yeah, and it's only if they beat them. If they beat them, you split the pot. If they don't beat them, obviously the money. But I mean, that's hard. Obviously, this is just a hypothetical. Obviously, these teams are putting these games on the schedule because they need that money. So they can't just give it to the players because that money, I'm sure, is already budgeted for. We know we're getting this money after we play this game. So in lieu of that, we are setting up this, and that for when we get that $400,000 or whatever it is. So obviously, it wouldn't always work out that way, and nobody's going to do it. I can tell you right now, they're probably not going to do it. But as a hypothetical to think about, that would be cool. Like imagine in 2021 when we beat UW. I think we got like 670,000. Let's do that math. Or I think that's easy math. $6,000? Are you kidding me? Almost $7,000? Are you kidding me? I think if there was any justifiable case for players to get the payout from an FBS victory, that UW victory was the one. For sure. For sure. They were ranked number 20, preseason number 20, but they were ranked number 20. I mean, come on, what are we talking about? Anyway, you guys let me know what you guys think about that. I didn't want to talk about that for long. I just saw it on social media last week and wanted to bring it up. So you guys let me know what you think about that down below. Do you guys think it's a good idea? Should we start making moves to get these players paid after an FBS victory? Or do you guys think it's never going to work out? I don't know. You guys let me know down below and I will move on. Okay. Another comment from Skyline Sports. Amazing stat. While interviewing UC Davis football head coach Tim Plow, he said this. The average FCS, or he didn't say this, but the average FCS football program has lost roughly 200 players to the NCAA transfer portal over the last 7 years. UC Davis has lost 9 players to the portal. All of them were grad transfers, per Skyline Sports. What is the secret sauce to keeping players from entering the portal? Well, I think it would need a conversation with Tim Plow to find out what their secret sauce is. And obviously, I think last year was his first year as the head coach. So I don't even know if he necessarily knows the secret sauce. I think Tim Plow was there. He might have been there for a couple of years, but I think last year or the year before was his first year as the head coach. What is the secret sauce? Now, one thing I think that plays in UC Davis's favor, because they haven't necessarily been great. They've been middle of the pack, above average in the Big Sky Conference, but last year they were really good last year. But before that, I don't think they've necessarily been great. So what is keeping people around? I, for one, think it has to do with the academics, and that's why all of them have been grad transfers. You go to UC Davis, part of going to UC Davis is not only the football, you're playing in the Big Sky Conference, you're playing in the FCS, it's a Division I institution, but you go to UC Davis for the academics. You get a degree from UC Davis that is, obviously it's not a Stanford, it's not an Ivy League, it's none of those, but it's a distinguished college. I think a UC Davis degree is probably, and I mean no disrespect, I obviously have a University of Montana degree, but I think a UC Davis degree is held in higher regard than a UM degree. I just think the name brand is more recognizable. I think obviously the degree, it depends on the degree also, because obviously there's good programs at UM that you can take at UM and, it stands out. But we're talking about why people aren't transferring from UC Davis. And if there was a thing that I could put, I don't want to down UM. I got a UM jersey sitting behind me. I don't necessarily want to down UM. UM is amazing. I think UM is the best university in the nation. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I think that's something that leads to players not leaving at UC Davis. I mean, you go to UC Davis. Part of the reason you go to UC Davis is to get a degree from UC Davis. I mean, and outside of that, maybe they have a good culture. They had a good team last year, so I could see a lot of players from 2023 going into 2024 saying, nah, I kind of want to stay around. But, I mean, if most schools have an average of 200 players that enter the transfer portal over the last 7 years and UC Davis has only had 9, that is staggering. I mean, I can't think of anything else that would lead to that outside of the degree. Because if you're getting only grad transfers, that means they're graduating, getting their UC Davis degree, and then going to another institution. But I think, once you get that piece of paper from UC Davis, I think it stands out. You know, you have a good network of people that you can. It's close to Silicon Valley. It's not Silicon Valley, but it's not far away from it. You know, so I think that's the one thing, especially considering that they're all grad transfers. I can't think of any other reason why people wouldn't transfer from UC Davis. And I don't know. Maybe they have a good NIL system. Maybe they have a good collective. I don't know how those players are being compensated over there, but something is leading them to stay. And it's probably partly culture, partly coaching, but a lot of it's probably the degree. If I had to put my finger on it, what do you guys think? I really wanted to bring this up to see what some of you guys' comments are on it. Why do you guys think players aren't transferring from UC Davis? I don't know. You guys let me know down below, and I will move on. Okay. Richmond head coach Russ Huesman has a problem with the transfer portal. Surprise, surprise. Richmond head coach Russ Huesman accuses Maryland head coach Mike Loxley of tampering this offseason, per Zach McKinnell of FCS Blue Bloods, FCS Football Central. Huesman on Tuesday accused Maryland of tampering to convince Sean O'Hare to transfer to the Terrapins after spring practice. According to the Richmond Times-Dispatch, Huesman claims that O'Hare had no designs on leaving Richmond until Maryland gave him $50,000. So this is something, and this is what Zach McKinnell said underneath that post. We need more FCS coaches to call out FBS schools and head coaches, but the NCAA will most likely refuse to do anything once again. So, oops, little need right there. Head coaches are finally, coaches have been calling people out for a couple of years. The NCAA hasn't seemed to do much, which is funny because a couple of weeks ago we were talking about how the FCS or how the NCAA has levied punishment for these schools who are not keeping their academic standing up, which I appreciate. Keep the grades right. Student, athlete. The student comes first. You're an athlete second. Obviously, most of these kids are going to the school to play sports to get their... I don't want to say most because a lot are going to get the degree. But a lot of these kids, at least in the football standpoint, are going for sports. But student comes first. So I appreciate the NCAA actually doing their job and giving those schools punishment who are not holding up their end of the bargain in terms of keeping their GPA, their collective GPA, at a certain level. Why isn't the NCAA keeping the same... why haven't we seen any penalties for tampering? It's crazy. These schools are blatantly, not even blatantly, they're obviously finding ways to get around it. Hey, let's have our collective. Hey, let's have a family friend, our agent, go speak to their family friend, find out what the deets are, see what's going on. But it's so crazy that these coaches will blatantly, this is a guy who played, I think I was reading that the quarterback Sean O'Hare played in, I think it was 4 or 5 games last year. He was 12 for 12 on his field goal attempts, and he had 3 that were over 45 yards. So he looked good in the minimal time that he played. He didn't play football in high school. He's from Ireland originally, and all of a sudden he did all of spring, with them all winter, with them all through spring, and then all of a sudden on May 3rd he decides, I want to jump in the portal. And, now I don't know how the coach knows they gave him $50,000 outside of talking to the kicker, but I just think it's crazy that, the NCAA will levy punishment, will hand down punishment for grades, which they should. But then when there's tampering going on, you won't do the due diligence, to do the investigation, to do the research, to look into it, to find out what type of tampering is going on and what schools are being affected. Because this stuff is going on. Believe it or not, this stuff is going on. It's just not being penalized. So why would we stop doing it if we know we're not going to be held accountable for it? And that is what's being shown over and over and over and over. They are not being punished for any of the things that they're doing, and they're going to keep doing them until they're being punished. So, I don't know. It's very interesting. This is something that's going on all over the FCS. No penalties are being given. No punishment is being given. Nobody's being reprimanded. When will it change? We don't know. But the FCS is always the little brother in this circumstance of, we are going to build this player up to be what he's going to be, or to be what he can't. We're going to build this player up so that you can see what his potential is. A la Jordan Dwyer, a la Mark Hamper at Idaho this past year. And you can just come take them for the highest bidder, and they'll be gone. And all the resources that we put in them, all the investment we put in, all the hours that we spent recruiting him, all the hours we spent on him at this school, the resources we put into him, they're all for nothing. That's why I appreciated the buyout method, but there are some discrepancies with paying buyouts. Obviously, G5 schools will probably be looking for buyouts too, but they have more money than the FCS schools. So, I mean, how do you control the buyouts? Who's pay? Like, what? It's a hard system. I think it could be, if the NCAA took some time to look into it, I think it could be something that could be fruitful. But it's pretty crazy. You know, Richmond, their coach coming out, calling people out. I think, you know, I don't think we've seen coaches call out, like, speak about it. I think a lot of coaches have hesitated to say names or to say schools or to say, you know, who's blatantly doing the tampering. I think this is one of the first out loud statements of, this school tampered with our kicker. He left for this amount. We know who did it. We know how they did it. I mean, I don't know if he's saying the how. He's saying the who, and he's being very loud about it. So you guys let me know what you guys think about this. Do you guys think it's bogus that no punishment has been handed down to any of these schools for tampering? You guys think it's a rocky system to find the tampering? You guys let me know down below, and I will move on. Okay, as Stephen F. Austin is cutting 4 sports: bowling, men's and women's golf, and beach volleyball. I think this is per Sam Herder. The decision was, this is per their announcement. The decision was based on sustained departmental budget deficits and the anticipated financial impact of upcoming revenue sharing requirements with Division I athletes. So, one thing to take into account when you think of the Division I, the settlement, the revenue sharing settlement. Not everybody has to opt in, and not everybody has to revenue share. But everybody who is a Division I institution is tasked with paying back damages, which is a little bogus if you ask me, but it's spread across the entire Division I landscape. So it's not just P4, although P4 would have been the main players making the money, had money being paid to these players before. Everybody's going to pay back the money. FCS, FBS, Power 4, Mercyhurst, you're a Division I institution. Now, I don't know what that means for Mercyhurst because they just moved up. So are they, I mean, what does that look like? Does it not matter if you're D1, you're paying back? I don't know, because Mercyhurst just became D1. So are they now still footing the bill for most of these Power 4 schools? I mean, I don't know. But the reason I bring this up is because everybody's tasked with paying back damages. So if you're tasked with paying back damages, you are adding a line item on your budget of in the red. You're adding an L line item, a P and L. If you're on a P and L balance sheet, you're adding an L to your balance sheet, which is losses, which is revenue sharing, back damages, whatever you want to call it. They're going to have to pay back damages. They're probably doing some numbers, probably looking at the budget. They're looking at, man, like we're not going to be in the green if at all. We need to cut some sports. We need to cut some fat. We need to trim the fat. They decided bowling, men's and women's golf, and beach volleyball was the fat that they needed to trim. But I think this is something that we're going to see in college sports going forward. A lot of sports are going to be cutting a lot of schools are going to be cutting their sports. I mean, you already saw, was it St. Francis? Not St. Francis. Was it St. Francis? One of the schools in the NEC is dropping, not St. Gosh, I just had it. I don't know. I think it might be St. Francis though. Maybe not St. Francis. It might be St. Francis. St. Francis, or what's the school in New Hampshire? New Hampshire. Gosh, it's red. It's the same colors and everything as St. Francis. Either way, we've already seen schools talking about like a school like that out of the NEC. I cannot remember the name, dropping down to D3, not even D2. They're going all the way down to D3. Now, I don't know what the pros and cons of being D3, D2, or FC, like obviously I know some of the pros and cons of FCS. I don't know the pros and cons of D2. I don't know the pros and cons of D3. So I don't know what led them to go D3 over D2. But they're dropping down from FCS to D3. They were D1. Their basketball team, I believe, was in the tournament this last year. They're dropping down. I mean, we've already seen that. So we're just going to continue to see more of that. And as Stephen F. Austin is one of the schools exemplifying that. They are moving down because of what's going on with the upcoming changes of the House settlement. There are going to be changes that a lot of schools financially are going to be strapped by. And with that financial strapping, they are foreseeing problems coming. So in a way to curb those problems, in a way to be able to manage those problems, got to cut the fat. What do you guys think about Stephen F. Austin cutting 4 sports? What do you guys think? You guys let me know down below, and I will move on. Okay, got another quick topic to finish off the video today. What's the last time each conference was the best they've been relative to the rest of the FCS? So I got a graphic pulled up right here. This is per RedditFCS. You guys can't see me right now. There I am. What is the best each conference has been? What is the question again? What's the last time each conference was the best they've been relative to the rest of the FCS? So I think they're saying like the FCS is here, the conference is up here. So the best they've ever been relative to the rest of the FCS. I pulled up a few of the schools. I pulled up a few of the conferences on here and pulled up their conference record. So the best year for the MVFC was 2024. I think they had 4 or 5 playoff teams. CAA, the best year was 2010. The Big Sky, the best year was 2002. There's an interesting thing that happened in this conference in the Big Sky in 2002. We'll talk about it once we get to it. The SoCon, the best year was 1996. The Southland, the best was 1991. The UAC was 2024. They had 3 playoff teams, 2 of 3, got a first round playoff victory. Good for the UAC. This is a newer conference. They only have 2 years, 2023 and 2024. Obviously, 2024 is going to be the best year. Ivy League is 4th, or the Ivy League is 2019, their best year. The OVC, I don't know if this includes the Big South or just the OVC because I don't see the Big South on here. But the best year for the OVC was 2013. Their best ranking was 4th. I mean, and you look at some of these conferences have never even been first. You look at the Patriot League, the 7th in 2023. I believe they had 2 playoff teams in 2020. They had 1 for sure. Lafayette. I can't remember if Holy Cross made the playoffs in 2023. I believe Holy Cross made it as well. So that would definitely be their best year. The MEAC, 1999, 7th was their best ranking. The SWAC, 1991, 7th was their best ranking. The NEC, 2017, 9th was their best ranking. And the Pioneer in 2020, 12th was their best ranking. So I want to look at some of the conferences that we got on here and look at the years that they were referencing. The CAA in 2010. Let's move that up a little bit. The CAA in 2010. Delaware was 12-3, was 6-2. 2010 was, I believe, the first national championship for NDSU. No, it was Eastern Washington. So Eastern Washington won the Natty in 2010, and that was Delaware's best year as a conference. That was the CAA's best year as a conference. They got a 12-3 Delaware. They got an 8-4 William and Mary. They have a 9-5 Villanova. They have a 8-5 UNH. Now, 2010, I believe they were still 16-team playoff back in 2010. So a lot of these teams, I believe probably only 2 of these teams would have made the playoffs, maybe 3. What is this, 12 games? What is this, 14 games? They definitely made the playoffs. What is this, 13 games? They definitely made the playoffs. So they had 4 playoff teams back in 2010 when I think it was a 16-team bracket. That says a lot. If I believe 2010 was still 16-team bracket. You guys can let me know down below. I might be off on that. But either way, 4 teams out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 teams, 4 out of the 13. What's that? I don't want to do math. It's about 30%. Almost 30%. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Did they share the conference title here, or do they have an outright champion? I don't know. Either way, CAA, pretty good for the CAA. Next, we got the MVFC that we're going to be looking at. The MVFC, let's see their best year. Their best year was 2024. I believe they had 3 teams in the semifinals this year. They had South Dakota in the semifinals. They had South Dakota State in the semifinals, and they had North Dakota State in the semifinals as well. The odd man out being Montana State playing against South Dakota at home, who was the 1 seed actually in the playoffs. But you got 3 7-1 teams. They technically all shared the title, which is crazy. I hypothesized that before the season, and I never even went back to look at it, that they all were tied. I said that would happen. I was right. Anyway, 14-2 North Dakota State being the national champion. 12-3 South Dakota State being the semifinal, being a semifinal team, so one of those top 4 teams, and then South Dakota being a semifinal team as well. Obviously, North Dakota State and South Dakota State played in the semis. You also have an Illinois State who made the playoffs. You also had a Missouri State who probably would have made the playoffs had they not been in a transition year. So definitely, 5 playoff worthy teams. But where I think they get it off here with the graphic is, I mean, I think you want the collective best of the conference. Because, I mean, even if you go back and look at the CAA, 6-5, 5-4, 6-5, 5-6. I mean, not a lot of teams under 500. You got 4 out of the 13 teams who are under 500. So a large majority of the conference is over 500. I think that's a good sign for the conference. You go back to the MVFC, and a majority of the teams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 11 teams in the conference from 2024 were under 500. So I don't know, RedditFCS. I don't know if I agree with that one. Let's go next. We're going to look at the Big Sky Conference. So I tried to get on the Big Sky website. For some reason, I don't think they have the data on there. So we're going throwback. We're pulling up the PDF. We're looking at the rank. We're looking at the rankings here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, 2002 was the year the streak ended. Am I correct or am I wrong? I think I'm correct in that the 16-year streak ended in 2002, because I believe that's the only way this team would make the playoffs at, what are they, 7-6, so that's 13 games. What did they play, 11 regular season? So they played 2 playoff games. Maybe they lost. I don't know. But it looks like they're at the top of the conference here. 5-2 with a 5-2 Montana. So if I'm not mistaken, I think 2002 was the year the streak ended. You guys can let me know in the comments. I'm sure a Grizz fan in the comments will let me know. But you look at the conference. You look at the win percentage. A large majority of the teams in the conference, which makes me go back and look at this. Was I looking at the wrong win percentage? No, that was overall. Okay. There's a large majority of the teams in the conference were over 500. Only two teams in the conference were under 500. Now, obviously, I think there's 8. There's 8 teams in the conference back then in 2002. But 6 out of the 8 were over 500. I think they kind of got it right here. Now, obviously, it seems that there's only 2 playoff teams on here because you see the asterisk is an automatic berth, which would have mean they won the conference, which would have mean they won the Brawl of the Wild, which is the last game of the season, which would have mean that they they broke the streak that year. Either way, then the hashtag is the received an at-large bid. Obviously, at-large bid. Obviously, at whatever record their record was in the regular season, 2 losses I believe they had. 2 + 5, 7 + 4, 11. I'm so bad at math right now. 9-2. There we go. They would have been 9-2 at the end of the regular season. Only 2 playoff teams in the conference, but a large majority of the conference was over 500. And I think Idaho State looks like a playoff-worthy team right here. But I know back then that was the 16-team playoff bracket. So not a lot of teams getting in. But, interesting. We got the SoCon here. Okay. What are we seeing from the SoCon? Marshall, I believe, what is this, 96? You know what year that was. Randy Moss. They went 15-0. They won the Natty. They were undefeated. Randy Moss was a Heisman finalist. I mean, everything. They did everything that year. Absolutely everything that year. You got East Tennessee State on here as well at 10-3, 7-1 in the conference. Conference champion and the money sign. I believe the up sign is probably a playoff team, if I had to guess. So, judging off this, they had 3 playoff teams. Because then you got Furman at 9-4, which is also a playoff team. 6-2 in the conference play. 7-4 with Appalachian State. I mean, this conference used to be dominant. Marshall, now an FBS opponent. East Tennessee State still in the FCS. But then you got Furman, who's now, no, they're still in the FCS, still playing in the SoCon. But then you got Appalachian State, who's now FBS as well. A lot of these teams used to dominate the FCS. Furman, Appalachian State, Marshall, they used to be dominant in the FCS before things changed. But then also, once again, you go to the rest of the conference, and not everybody is over 500. It's literally only the playoff teams in Appalachian State who are over 500. Everybody else is below 500. I don't know if I agree with you, RedditFCS. Next, we have the Southland Conference. Now, Sam Houston State, obviously FBS now. Northeast Louisiana, I got to believe that's probably like Nichols. I don't know. Oh, ULM. Northeast Louisiana is ULM. Nice. I didn't know that. So you got Sam Houston State in Northeast Louisiana is obviously a FBS opponent now. Southwest Texas State. Is that just Texas State now? Yeah, that's Texas State. So Texas State, are they FBS now? I believe Texas State is FBS now, right? Yeah, they're FBS. Northwestern State, Nicholls State, North Texas, Stephen F. Austin. So you look at the rest of the conference here. A large majority of these guys are over 500. Sam Houston State, the conference champ, conference co-champ actually. McNeese shared it with them. How did they do that? 2 ties in one season in conference play? They got ties in conference play? What? What is this, 91? Oh, they weren't playing overtime. The rules were different. Oh, geez. But this is the best year that the Southland has had per Reddit is 91. That's what they say. I don't know if I agree, but I hear you. Last conference we're going to look at is the UAC. Their best season was in 2024. Abilene Christian, playoff team, got a playoff victory against NAU. Tarleton State, playoff team, got a playoff victory against, gosh, I'm going blank on who they won. I don't know. Let's go back and look at it, actually. It's going to take forever, isn't it? Yeah, we're not going to do that. And then Eastern Kentucky. Oh, there we go. There we go. Let's go back. I don't want to do that. Either way, 3 playoff teams. A lot of teams in the conference. A few teams in the conference over 500. Some of the teams at the bottom below 500. Poor Utah Tech on there. Just trying to find their way at the D1 level. I don't know why I wanted to bring this up. I just thought it was interesting looking at some of the top conferences, some of the top years, and seeing how they shaped up that year. It's funny, too. You look at the top seasons from a lot of these conferences. You look at the Big Sky's top year in 2002. Based on RedditFCS, no national championship. You look at the MVFC, their top year 2024, based on RedditFCS, national championship. You look at Marshall, the SoCon, national championship, their best year in 96. You look at the Southland, 91, their best year, no national championship. You look at the UAC, their best year, 24, no natty. No natty. So let's go back to look at the list one more time to see what teams we got on here. We'll pull this back down. MVFC, CAA, Big Sky. I mean, I think there's only like 2 or 3 national championship seasons on here. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think many of these conferences got a natty in their best season. Either way, you guys let me know what you guys think about that down below, and I will move on. Next, we are going to be chatting with the Montana State General Manager, Chandler Arbizzani. So, yeah, pay attention to this conversation. It was a really good conversation with the GM of Montana State's football team, and we're going to find out a little bit about his job and what he's got going on at Montana State. So, I'll catch you guys there. Okay, so I got a line of questions for you today. First things first, I want to know, in the modern college football landscape, what does the job of a general manager look like?
I think it depends on the school. So I think it's being in, constant communication with the head coach and kind of taking his vision of the program and helping that come to fruition.
Right.
So that's the best way to put that. So yeah, I'd say it kind of varies on school. And I guess level too. So
yeah, you're right. So at the FCS level at Montana State, then what does that look like?
Yeah, so it ends up being a good amount of hands-on in different departments. So the recruiting, the personnel, and then the ops, kind of all 3 of those, I guess, to a degree. And then we have Jerry Anderson, who is our director of football administration. He does a lot with ops, so I won't say he runs the show with ops, so give a shout out to him. He's the man, so I help him with ops, I'll say. So
for sure. So when you got there in 2022, college football was a little different than it is now. How would you say things have changed since 2022, now being in 2025?
Yeah, I guess obviously the portal thing has been crazy. It's kind of the Wild West with no rules. Right now, but I guess us and both the Montana schools, it's still the core of Montana guys. Like we saw Tommy, a Butte guy, get drafted, go to the Raiders, and Junior Bergen from Montana. He's a Billings guy. So obviously rooting for both those guys, 2 Montana guys in the NFL. It's pretty cool. So I guess it comes down to for us and them probably. I don't really know exactly their full structure, but the core of Montana guys and So
with the transfer portal, what is that like? Are you guys, as a GM, do you prioritize the winter transfer portal, the spring transfer portal? Like, what is kind of the plan of attack with that?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the season and
Hmm.
how far we're playing into
Yeah.
December.
Yeah.
Exactly how that impacts us, especially with visits and just evaling kids and stuff like that. Um, but and then shoot, obviously for the majority of the time for our roster, it's usually guys getting other opportunities and kind of supplementing that. So
Yeah.
we don't usually go full press to sign 40 guys through there, but it's
Yeah.
usually like we're still going to build through high school for the most part.
Yeah. Man, I like that. I like that. So, what does the working relationship with you as GM look like with Coach Brent Vegan?
So working relationship. Honestly, him and I'm in his office probably more than anybody on staff. I'd say one nice thing about Coach Vegan is he's super approachable.
Yeah.
There's never been a time where I have gone in there and it's hey, don't come in here, you know? So,
Yeah.
honestly, any questions I've had with areas I haven't had a ton of experience in,
Hmm.
he's been obviously at NDSU and then he was at Wyoming too. So he's kind of been a few different spots. So he kind of knows how the landscape works at obviously another FCS school and then Mountain West. So, um, specifics, I guess, kind of depends, but shoot, honestly, it's been good though. Like working with him, I haven't had any issues. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's been really good. So
So, say there's a guy that you like, you wanna give him an offer. What does that? I mean, what does that even look like? What does that look like with you wanting to offer guys? The coaches is Coach Vegan kind of giving you a game plan for like, okay, this is what we're looking for. You go out and find it, or what does that kind of look like?
yeah, so we'll beginning of shoot. I think we did it maybe February or um late January this year. So we have a roster where we kind of go each by each position and like seven
Mm-hmm.
characteristics that we're
Mm-hmm.
looking for at each position, and then obviously it changed based on staff. So we'll have maybe our QB coach from last year has these seven characteristics,
Yep.
being looking at this first, this for this second. So
Yep.
it kind of helps everyone have an idea of what to filter. And then
Yeah.
we're kind of a area based team, so we'll have coaches, even if it might be a quarterback in Dallas, but our linebackers coach covers Dallas, so he'll
Mm-hmm.
filter that QB to the quarterbacks coach,
Yeah.
and then filter up the ladder to coordinator to head coach.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a situation where like December or February, you guys sit down. This is what we want at each position. And do you guys kind of like keep that on a sheet or something? So when coaches are out recruiting, they're like, okay, like we're looking for this. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's it's always it's tentative, I guess, to a degree because it's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're looking for this, and then December it might be looking for a few more
Yeah.
when the window opens up. But yeah, we don't have a whole lot of seniors this next year, but I guess depends on the portal thing as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, we kind of have an idea of where we're at,
Yeah.
where we're what we're taking, how many we're taking at each
Yep.
spot right now. So.
For sure. Okay. So did your job shift at all when NIL became a little bit more involved, even at the FCS level? Like, what did that look like?
Um, so not really at first. Well, at first it was, we weren't really like, hey, is this going to stick? Is this going to be a thing? And
Yeah.
then it was kind of a couple years. It's like, okay, this is actually going to be the new landscape.
Yep.
Still kind of a little bit unregulated, but we're still one thing I guess that uh, we've tried to get is so there's obviously like you're getting like your scholarship, you're living off campus, so you're
Yep.
getting a little bit of stipend a month. Then there's like the Bobcat Collective. Then there's like
Yep.
other angles. So we're just trying to make it so there's one funneled area so the guys can see, okay, this is the amount I'm getting, not where there's like something coming here, something coming here, something coming here, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what's even hitting my account? So
Yeah. You guys are trying to streamline it to make it easy for the players to interpret.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So
For sure. Okay. Do you ever, as the GM, have to deal with like agents? How much are you working with the collective? Like, what does that working relationship look like as the GM?
Yeah, so we um not I would say not really with the agents
Yeah,
as of right how we have it structured right this second. Um uh the collective thing, Coach Vegan honestly kind of runs he's the main guy that runs the show on the
yep,
deciding the dollar amounts. So
yeah,
um I won't say I won't try to say I'm above that. So
yeah,
he does that. So
yeah. So with like, opting in with Montana State opting in, what does that kind of look like at Montana State?
yeah, so we weren't over the 105 at the time, so we didn't have to tell kids to kick the curve. We didn't have to, tell them to get lost. So
Yeah,
we were kind of we ended up being under it anyway. We always kind of hovered around that number depending on, I guess, obviously like the Title IX
yeah.
requirements, so the number's a little bit fluid, but uh yeah, kind of depends on the counters, I guess. Once that kind of leaves, that'll make it. That's always kind of the FCS challenge of the whole partial scholarships,
Yeah.
um, walk-ons plus the fulls, and then the partials can obviously vary a whole lot. So um, we'll see if it can get uniform to a degree soon here. We're kind of waiting on the hearing. Hopefully this week when we can have some more of an idea once the settlement's decided. So.
It's kind of a situation where like you guys have opted in, but you're still kind of waiting on more direction since the House settlement has not technically been approved and all that good stuff yet.
Yeah. Basically, kind of have an idea. We have an idea of what pretty good plan of what we're gonna do. We're just waiting for exact things because it could shift.
Yeah, shifting by the day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't even want to say something, and then it's like.
Right. Okay, so as someone who is involved in the recruiting, how do you guys use recent success to appeal to recruits? What are you guys putting out there to recruits with some of the recent success you guys have had?
Yeah. Honestly, one of the big things, and we'll see how we pivot from it, but like Garrett left a couple years ago, Becker, and then Sam Chalmers. Honestly, the exposure we put out on social media, I think helped us a lot. Helped Coach Vegan and I, from our perspective, like just putting it out there, seeing other kids where it's like, hey, what is the FCS even like? And like, some of the people when you're down, like when I was down in Texas for a bit, like some of the other schools, like it's not the same environment as like Montana State. Like it's a whole different thing. So
it's life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it helps when we have like coaches go down there and we have kids when they're like, I don't even know anything about that school, and they can see stuff through like social media and yeah. So
I can tell you, bro, it means a huge difference because I think when I committed to Montana, that wasn't something that I saw a lot of, so I didn't know anything about the Montana schools. And when I finally came up here, I get to see that there's a whole world that loves football and they eat, sleep, breathe it just like we do in the South. Okay, I got a few more questions for you. I saw that you attended the scouting academy. How do you feel like that has influenced your job today?
Yeah, so that I kind of stumbled into that just by peers and people saying, "Hey, you should try this. You should try that." I feel like to a degree everyone kind of feels like, oh, "Okay, I kind of know what I'm looking at that position," but it honestly helped me looking at more specifics and how to evaluate it without putting any like emotion or like knowing anything about the guy. Like not scouting helmets, just like, hey, he's a guy on the field. And then one thing it helped me too a lot was the offensive defensive line because when I played, I was played skill, and so I'm like, okay, I kind of have a decent feel for like receivers and secondary, but like O line and D line was one thing when I first started where I needed the little help on there. So
yeah, if you're gonna be a Montana State GM, you gotta be able to scout a lineman, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Last one for me. Who is someone you've leaned on in this industry to help you handle the constant changes?
Yeah. A couple years ago, when I said, "All right, I'm going to try the football thing out," I called the coaches at Carroll. So my coach, Coach Van Diest,
Yeah.
and then he was like, "Hey, you should talk to Anthony Patch," and he was a Carroll guy, graduated in 2000. Oh, I'm gonna say this wrong. 1999, 2001, right in that range. But but anyway, so he was the when I met him, he was director of college scouting for the Eagles, and he was a Carroll guy. So um he's been steady. I guess I would say the best way to put his presence. And shoot, when I was at Sam Houston, I went to the Senior Bowl that year, and we had we had Zion McCollum at corner.
Oh, yep.
So I went to the Senior Bowl there, met up with him, and then now he just got hired a couple weeks ago by the Raiders. So but he's kind of like my go-to guy. So if I ever have any questions or how they view it or the relationship with NFL, and honestly so I'll do like the NFL liaison thing here as well. So when scouts come through, they'll hit me up, they'll come through, get them a parking spot, they'll come in, we'll talk about the guys, the background and all that stuff. And that honestly has helped me with evaluating as well, honestly, just bouncing stuff off those guys and how they see it. And then we'll come inside at some points during practice and watch some film. So they've helped me, I've helped them kind of deal. So
yeah. Well, I want to thank you, bro. I appreciate you so much for giving me your time. I know you're a busy guy. I know recruiting and all things going on with the general manager are busy. So I appreciate you for giving me your time today, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate you getting me on here. So yeah, hit me up if you have anything else.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, that is going to conclude my video today. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. I want to thank you guys for showing me love. I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel. Please make sure you guys hit that like. Please make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Please make sure you guys leave me a comment down below. Let me know if there's some topics you guys want me to talk about, if there's a player you guys want me to break down, if there's a game that you guys want me to go back and look at. If there's something that I might have missed in a game or something that you think I should take a look at, please leave it in the comments down below. I want to thank you guys so much for tapping into the channel. Remember, 60 to 80% of you guys are not subscribed to my channel, and I would like it if you were. It helps me out a ton. Make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys engage with the video, leave comments. It really helps out with the algorithm. I appreciate you guys so much for supporting the channel. I thank you guys for helping me grow. I thank you guys for giving me a space to be able to talk and showing me love. So I will catch you guys next time. See you later.